I'm the terror that flaps in the night. I'm the guy who's gonna remind you about the past of #1 superhero from Disney. I am Darkwing Duck. Let's get dangerous. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. If anybody remembered Darkwing Duck in the past, I'm just dressing up as him for people's memory. I mean, I'm sure some of you people remember how Darkwing Duck was. He was a superhero from Disney. And of course, do not forget the catchy theme song. Comes a duck of mystery, champion of right, troops out of the shadow, dark queen of the night. Somewhere some villain schemes, but their number's up. 3, 2, 1. Darkwing Duck, about. When there's trouble, you call DW. Darkwing Duck, let's get dangerous. Darkwing Duck, about. Darkwing Duck, out of smoke and he appears, master of surprise. Who's that from my behind? A shadow in disguise. Nobody knows for sure. Bad guys are out of luck, 'cause here comes Darkwing Duck, about. When there's trouble, you call DW. Darkwing Duck, let's get dangerous. Darkwing Duck, about. Better watch out, you bad boys. Darkwing Duck, ha! Whew! Never could get that theme song out of my head, no matter what. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, this is the hero I'm telling you about today. Sang the theme song, did the old terror flaps in the night. And for those of you who don't know why I'm doing this, well, I'm taking a little trip down memory lane to tell you guys about a certain superhero that I grew up watching ever since I was a little kid. It started way back in 1996. And of course, being a religious man myself, I wasn't into Bible man, he didn't came around in my time. Besides, Darkwing Duck, he came out during those Disney afternoons. I mean, heck, after I was done with high school was over, I was like, yay, time for me to watch Disney's Afternoon on ABC, until I had Disney Channel. And of course, that's when Darkwing Duck came about. And man, did it just blew my mind. Now, what exactly is Darkwing Duck and what's his origin and his powers? Well, he has no superpowers. That's right. He's a lot like Spider-Man. He's a lot like Batman. He has no superpowers. And he always carries this special gun. It shoots like a grappling hook and sometimes like a gas gun and all. And of course, he solves mysteries like a detective. He is dark and mysterious like the Shadow. His style is more like the Green Hornet. Don't know that character, look him up. But of course, here's another thing. Unlike other Disney characters, especially villains, who are like egotistical guys, Darkwing Duck, he decided to become a superhero all because he wants to be famous. Now, what kind of character reminded me of that? Now, what character? Going through the page. Which character? Which character? Kind of reminds me of that character called Booster Gold. If you don't know who he is, he's from the DC Comics. He wanted to be a superhero because he wants to be famous. So he's pretty egotistical of him. But of course, that's just Booster Gold in your part. In the DC world. So many characters, so little time, you know? Ah, here he is. That's Booster Gold for you right here. Yeah, he's a superhero from the future who goes all the way in the past to become famous. But, of course, Darkwing Duck, he ain't from the future. He's the present. And all he wants to be is a famous superhero. And, of course, I had this toy ever since I was a little child. And I always played with it ever since. I'm the terror that flaps in the night. Better watch out, bad boy. Darkwing Duck is here. It's pretty cool. And, of course, another thing, his origin. There wasn't much origin to say about Darkwing Duck. I mean, they did a few episodes. The first episode didn't tell much of his origin, but it tells a story about him saving a young girl who goes by the name of Goslin because she's a granddaughter of some scientist that the bad guy wanted that her grandfather made. And the young girl, her name was Goslin. And, one thing... And, of course, here's one secret origin. His, oh yeah, one thing that he's not, I mean, one thing, he is an egotistical superhero, but he's a devoted father figure. Since he saved Goslin in one episode and helped her out, all of a sudden he decided to adopt her, and that's how he becomes a father figure to Goslin. Now, Goslin was a really interesting character. She's a strong tomboy. She wasn't any typical damsel child character. She was more of an interesting character. And unlike Darkwing Duck, who kind of acts like a young kid, Goslin, she is a young kid, and she kind of boosts his spirit and all. And she really does admire him a lot. And even sometimes she always dresses up like she wants to be the superhero, but he always puts her out of the way because, well, don't want her to get herself killed. But of course, you hardly ever knew a superhero who decided to be a devoted father figure. And of course, another character he meets, he becomes his trusty sidekick, and he's a character from DuckTales, and it is Launchpad McQuack. He was a big fan of Darkwing Duck, and all he ever wants is to become his trusty sidekick. So what he does is that he created his Darkwing plane. Well, I forgot the name of a certain jet. I mean, it looks like a duck with wings. And one thing about Launchpad that we all know about him, he's an idiot savant when it comes to flying. Any mechanical flying machines he's on, he knows how to work it and knows how to fly it. So that's Launchpad for you. And of course, unlike other sidekicks who disguise themselves and dressed up, Launchpad, he doesn't wear a mask or anything. He just wears the same airplane outfit with the white scarf around his neck and all. And of course, here's another and of course, he also has an annoying next-door neighbor, and they have a son named Honker, who's a good friend to Goslin. And, of course, Honker, he helps out with the rest of the team. He's like the smart, brainiac nerd who creates a lot of devices and helps out with the team. So, out of every dysfunctional family, there's got to be a nerdy one somewhere. Now, the little origin is not much to know, but as it turns out, he was a little kid, and Darkwing Duck was a little kid. Goslin and Darkwing Duck got into a time machine and went into the past and saw young little Darkwing. Oh, and his alter ego, his name is Derek McQuack, or Jeremy, something like that. Oh, no. Derek Mallard. That's his name. Derek Mallard. That's his alter ego. And they found little Mallard as a little child in the past. And as it turns out, Darkwing Duck was the inspiration of the little self. So he just pops into the past and shows up into his past, and that's what inspired him to become a crime fighter. Oh, and another thing, not only that Darkwing Duck is a crime-fighting superhero, he's also Secret Agent Man! Secret Agent Man! Hey, he's giving you a number and taking away your name. That's right. He works in a secret agent department called Shush. And of course, their enemy is also Foul. That's their name. And one thing that not many people know, that not only Darkwing Duck is a secret agent, he's also a superhero. And every time when Shush is having some problems, they call Darkwing Duck for help. It's kind of like the Marvel Comics. When S.H.I.E.L.D., the top secret agency in Marvel Universe, they always call for superheroes for help. Legendary Nick Fury himself always called for superheroes to help out do this mission. And of course, not only that he deals with typical evil supervillains from the superhero world, he also dealt with Bond villains, which I call them Bond villains because everybody remembers James Bond. So he's kind of like Batman and James Bond, with a little bit of Zorro because of the cape and mask. Anyway, now let's get to the villains, shall we? There were a lot of villains in his rogue gallery, and one is more memorable is of course that that he meets this rat who is obsessed with electricity and powers. So therefore he goes by the name of Magnavolt. And of course, not many people know that the guy who does the voice of Magnavolt is the same guy who does the voice of Homer Simpson.
That's right. The guy who does Homer Simpson
does Magnavolt! Why, Magnavolt, you stop right there!
Oh, try it, Darkwing Duck.
Oh yeah, and Jim Cummings, he does the voice of Darkwing Duck. And if you don't know who he is, he's a legendary voice actor. He's done tons of voices ever since, every video game or cartoon I played, it's him doing the voice, and I always recognize his voice.
He even did the voice of the Mighty Pete on the Mickey Mouse cartoons, and also Goat Troops. And also Pete from the Disney video games.
That's right. The guy who, Jim Cummings, who did the voice of Darkwing Duck, also did Pete. And of course, there is also Negaduck. He's the evil version of Darkwing Duck, played by Jim Cummings and all that. And of course, the only Bond villain who's more memorable is Metalbeak. He's a rooster with a metal beak, kind of like that character Jaws in one of the Bond films. Now, of course, throughout the history, I would have go on with the stories, but it'll take all day. Anyway, what I got here is the DVD collection, Volume 1 and 2. But of course, that's not all the episodes, because they only show, the best of. So it's not completely complete. Oh, and here's what Launchpad McQuack looks like. Oh, Darkwing Duck there. And, that little girl there, that's Goslin. That there is Negaduck, his arch nemesis. And that's Magnavolt, right there.
Hey, that's me, Magnavolt!
But of course I looked up online, and I pretty much got the rest of the episodes online. So, safekeeping. And all in all, the show had lasted about 3 seasons, and that was about it. And of course, also Darkwing Duck, he has a love interest. I forgot her name, but she's a sorceress, and she's like Catwoman to Darkwing Duck's Batman. And every time when Darkwing Duck gets her mad, her power shows her fury. Why haven't a normal average superhero ever fallen in love with a sorceress? Oh well. And after the show have ended, all of a sudden they decided to do a comic book series and only did about 5 issues of Darkwing Duck comics. And after that, that was the end of Darkwing Duck. But we always remember Darkwing Duck in our past. I always remember him. And so does most of you fans who like him. But one thing I've always been curious about, why don't they introduce the Phantom Blot? A Disney villain from Mickey Mouse and all. But, I guess, no time. Anyway, this is Michael Grimm, aka Multi-Voice Reviewer. Put a like below and subscribe, and thank you for watching. Bye-bye.
And let's get dangerous.